Welcome, good morning, good day, good evening, everybody, to the Urban Biodiversity Hub 2021 Annual General Meeting. And without further ado, let's get going because we do have quite a lot to cover today. Exciting things that we've done in the past year in 2021, as well as our plans for 2022 and beyond. We've broken it down to a quick review of our mission goals, which puts into context the kinds of projects that we've been working on. Our major projects include work with the Natura Thematic Working Group that we've created, as well as the IUCN Urban Nature Index Consultancy. Then we'll move on to talk about communications and some updates on our website, as well as our finances, then exciting plans that we have for next year and beyond. And then finally, at the very end, we will be taking on the legal matters that we have to for the annual general meeting in order to stay legally as a registered society in Canada. But we will, as mentioned before, please feel free to jump in at any moment if you have a question. I will be moderating any questions otherwise, so you can also put it in the chat box for us today. Onwards, just a quick review of our mission goals. The Urban Biodiversity Hub overall would like to enable local governments to plan with nature. And how we do that is through providing resources on urban biodiversity, as well as produce knowledge on the current practice of what's being done in the realm of urban biodiversity, and using that to contribute to global discussions and networks. So also connecting as well what's happening on the ground with policy discussions and things at a different scale. And to reach our mission goals, we've been working on some really exciting projects, of which we'll highlight two major projects. Here we are looking at the Natura Thematic Working Group. Natura stands for a network of networks. It's nature-based solutions for urban resilience in the Anthropocene. And it's a network of networks. As you can see, all of these are members of the Natura network. And many of these members are themselves networks of cities or local governments or other actors in this space. And a thematic, one of the ways that Natura operates is to have thematic working groups convened by members of the network. And the main conveners of our thematic working group are Jennifer and Sabrina, another collaborator with us. And the TWG, as we call it, is about synthesizing global targets and local practices for biodiversity and nature-based solutions. The goals of this working group are plentiful, but to sum it up, we would like to have more alignment between local strategies as well as global targets. And part of a lot of the research that we do under this working group is to inform global biodiversity target setting about local actions for biodiversity. Our research team, which many of us are here today, but some of us are not able to join us, include Anushri Tiwari from India, Jennifer, as you know, me, Mika, Michael is also here, Pablo, as well as Sabrina Drill from the US, who is not with us today. The main research questions that we have as part of the working group is to understand, as the Aichi targets are have concluded, they have expired in 2020, and we're looking ahead at the post-2020 global biodiversity framework. We want to understand and learn from the past decade of trying to implement the Aichi targets, how that relates with what's being done locally by local governments. So our questions are, what Aichi target themes are commonly addressed in the actions of local biodiversity plans? How are cities addressing the themes of the Aichi targets through direct actions as stated in their plans? And what actions are cities including in their local plans that are not covered by the Aichi biodiversity targets? To answer these questions, we did a sample of the largest 44 cities with local plans from the UBHub database, out of the 109 plans that we have in our database. And we tried to maintain geographic spread with the largest 44 cities. From these plans, we extracted over 2,500 elements, and elements include actions or targets or indicators. Then we looked at each one of these elements and we coded them by the theme of each Aichi target. And as we found, there are many that are also not coded to any of the Aichi targets, and so they get an NA. Then under each of these, we have identified inductively 62 sub-themes. So for example, if the Aichi target on awareness raising, there are sub-themes related to, for example, citizen science or education, bringing school children to parks, that sort of thing. So these sub-themes were identified, and there's a total of 62 of them. So when we analyzed all of that data, we looked at how the prevalence, essentially, of Aichi targets in the LBSAPs. And that helped us understand how do the local plans align with the global targets. You can see here a quick snapshot of our results. And the first graph here, A, is the prevalence, and we've ordered it by decreasing prevalence. So Aichi target 1 on awareness increased has the most. It's tied together with Aichi target 19 on knowledge improved, shared, and applied, at 93% of all local plans having actions that relate to these Aichi targets. But you can see then, in contrast, in the graph B, the abundance of actions, so that's the average number of the actions that relate to these Aichi themes, differs slightly in terms of the abundance. So we can see that, for example, with Aichi target 1, awareness increase, many plans have that, and they also have many actions about that. Whereas in comparison, Aichi target 15 on ecosystems restored and resilience enhanced, 86% of LBSAPs local plans include actions on this, but it's not as detailed. The number of actions are lesser at about 3.5 as an average per local plan. So for more details, please do check out the publication that we have for this. And the publication is open source, so you can access it without any subscriptions needed. And my colleague Jennifer has put it in the chat box. This slide just shows some of the additional things that cities say that they would do in their LBSAPs that are not captured within the themes of the Aichi targets. So outputs of the Natura working group include submissions of the outcomes of our research and applying it to the development of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. And that's through a submission to the SUBSTA. I think most of us in this call would probably be familiar with that, so I won't go into detail about what SUBSTA is. And then we've also presented the results or preliminary versions of the results at various conferences, such as the TNOC Summit, and as well as an internal presentation to World Bank in March of this year. But the final paper was accepted and then published in Frontiers in Conservation Science in November. So this is fresh news. Then I'll pass the time on to Jennifer, who will explain more about our next major project with the Urban Alliance of the IUCN. Jen, are you able to unmute? she did mention earlier that she has connection issues. So until she gets back, I think I will be able to, right, yeah, I think she's having connection issues. So I will then continue and share what we've done about the Urban Nature Index on Jennifer's behalf. The aims of the Urban Nature Index. Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not going to turn on my video, sorry everyone, because the it's just being very unreliable. So the Urban Nature Index was a consultancy that the Urban Biodiversity Hub won with the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN. And the consultancy was to develop this new index. And we've focused on the unique aims of the index in order to differentiate it from other similar tools that exist. So we were looking for an index that would be flexible for different cities, considering various capacities and local contexts, that was comprehensive in terms of the connections between biodiversity and cities within their borders, the local scale, the regional or hinterland scale, and then the global scales when we look at how markets and various globalization themes connect cities to ecosystems around the world. We developed it based on the latest science, and this scoring is intended to capture improvements over time rather than any particular level at any given point in time. So it's all based on changes over time. And then finally, we took a collaborative approach where we actually harness existing tools wherever they exist, and rather than developing a new indicator that already exists in another system. So we're able to just borrow from other systems wherever possible. Next slide. Okay, the structure of the Urban Nature Index then is that it has 6 overall themes. Within each one are 5 indicator topics. And within those indicator topics are various approaches that a city or an applicant can take to complete that indicator. Each indicator then provides a score which is aggregated at the thematic level, giving every participant 6 scores that together generate the index, 1 in each theme. Next slide. The themes are listed here on the slide. And again, within each one of these are the 5 indicators. So the first theme is on consumption drivers, which looks at more of the global scale, market-driven biodiversity loss drivers. The second one is more direct human pressures. And the third one is on the status of habitats. Fourth is on the status of species. The fifth one is on nature's contributions to people, which is also sometimes referred to as ecosystem services. And the sixth is on those actions where we're responding to the current state, which are generally part of government or the larger governance institutions. Next slide. Here's a list of the first 3 themes, as well as the indicator topics within those themes. And each one of the indicator topics has also been mapped to its local, hinterland, or global impact. So you can see how we've conceptualized them. We also indicate those themes which connect directly to equity issues and link them to the various SDGs on the far right-hand column. So this will give you an idea of the contents of these indicators. Next slide. I believe has the last 3 themes. Yes. So in the last 3 themes, you can see there's indicator topics that cover equity issues. Then in the first 3 themes, as we get into ecosystem services and governance responses. On the next slide, you'll see a sample structure of one of the indicators. This is the indicator 3.5, connectivity. And it shows how in each indicator, we provide the intent of the indicator, some instructions to follow with various options. This particular indicator has an advanced and a basic option depending on the capacity of the city, as well as several alternatives that would also meet the requirement for completing this indicator topic. And then you'll also see the scoring. So the scoring that results from this is based on trends, based on the baseline measurement, which is set by the city, and then whether or not that baseline has a positive or a negative trend and over how much time. So this gives you a quick snapshot of how the Urban Nature Index works. Next slide. So in order to apply the Urban Nature Index, cities would on a regular basis, which would be anywhere from annually to every 5 years or so, they would determine their capacity level via just a short questionnaire. I believe it's about 7 questions that can be completed in 5 minutes or less, which then tells them how many indicators within each theme they'd be required to complete and whether it's at the advanced or the basic level. They would then select those indicators within each theme. So every city is completing some indicators in each theme. It's just a matter of how many. And then they would record their results on the Urban Nature Index platform, which is currently under development by IUCN. So this is something that has just been developed and will be available for cities to sign up and complete over time. We presented the Urban Nature Index in several conferences as it was being developed. And then once it was completed, we participated in this webinar under the World Bank's GPSC webinar series, wherein we discussed how this index fits into other indices and other related initiatives that are happening, including the Singapore Index, the Cities with Nature platform by ICLEI, and other initiatives happening at IUCN, just showing how collaborative this landscape is becoming and how the Urban Nature Index links together these various tools. So that was a really nice presentation, and it's available online to view as a recording as well. Now I'll pass this over to Pablo.
Thank you, Jennifer. So another important event that took place during 2021 was the IUCN World Conservation Congress. It took place in Marseille, in France, from the 3rd to 11th of September. It was both in person and virtually. And the Urban Biodiversity Hub participated in 3 important events in which we had the opportunity of presenting the Urban Nature Index. It was the Local Action Summit, the Urban Planet Pavilion, and the Central Stage. It was also a great opportunity to expand our networks while putting emphasis on the importance on the Urban Nature Index. Well, in this picture, you can see I was present there, but there was also, we also had virtual participation from our members, from the members of this consultancy. Can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. So at the conclusion of the World Conservation Congress, the IUCN released the Marseille Manifesto, which among other action items included a commitment by IUCN members and partners to expand, well, it's written here, expand universal access to high quality green spaces and to enhance urban biodiversity in 100 cities, representing around 100 million citizens by 2025, and assessing their impact according to the IUCN Urban Nature Index. So this is a recognition of the quality of our work, of our team, and we're looking forward to helping IUCN to achieving this goal. So stay tuned for more announcements as IUCN moves this program forward. Now, thank you. In terms of communication, can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. So, well, in social media, the likes and follows metrics are not our main focus for our strategy. We have about 100 people engaged in our Facebook page. However, our posts reach from 50 to about 1,000 people. In Twitter, we have over 250 followers, and our interaction mostly happens with official accounts from other organizations. And this year, we also put more effort in our LinkedIn. which now has over 100 followers as a company. And in terms of our YouTube channel, we had it since previous years, but only now we have been using it to publish presentation of the IUCN Urban Nature Index. So far it has, I just checked before this meeting, we have 58 views so far for the uni. And we're going to be publishing it and sharing it in our networks in the upcoming days and next year. Thank you. So we also have a newsletter, which we sent this year on November the 2nd. We have over 300 successful deliveries with over 200 opens, like total opens. As for the geographic location, can you go to the next one, please?
Is this the right one?
Yeah.
Locations, yeah.
Yeah, so it's so we have the majority is based in the United States, followed by Hungary, Canada, United Kingdom, and Belgium, and the rest they have less than 2 or 1 countries represented. However, you can see that there's a wide variety of a geographic variety of locations. Yeah, thank you. We also published this article in the TNOC. So it's called A Walk in the Park, Reimagining Urban Environmental Conservation During the Coronavirus Pandemic. So it was published previously on our website. It was written by Kaja Agard, as part of our mid-gig from the it's a short-term project by the Middlebury students during their summer break. And this article was edited and published on TNOC, increasing thus the visibility of Urban Biodiversity Hub and also of the work that we've been doing. And I think that's it from me at this point. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So now it's on to website updates from me. Next slide, please. So this year we were not nearly as focused on keeping the getting the database more updated, but we had a lot of other important projects. We have more robust search and biodiversity plans. So that's from last year's notes. But yeah, so you'll see a 0% change there. I actually do think we have more data than that. It just hasn't been reflected in the website. Next slide, please. Our big task continues to be the index builder. This will allow users to create their own custom index or program to track biodiversity in their city. This will be available through our website once it's finished. Here we just have a diagram of how everything goes together. Essentially, at the top we have program, and within each program you can have multiple categories. With each category you can have multiple indicators, and then each indicator has attached user data to it, and that way users can record their data over multiple years or multiple locations, things like that. Next slide, please. Here's an example of how an indicator is built. This is just our in-progress view of how it looks. Please ignore my terrible design decisions as far as how things look here, but from a data standpoint, it's beautiful. It works great. On the left-hand side, you see these custom indicators that someone can create, and then you can move those over to the right side where you, under each and every one of the categories, you can have your categories have color schemes to make them more differentiable from each other, and you can have them ordered in whatever order you want, so that it's nice and easy for users to later on enter the data. So on the next slide, here's where you have the list for your given location of each of those custom programs that you've got set up. We've got test data here, so I hope nobody's labeling these things in that fashion. Can you go back to
Glenn, I think we
lost him.
Well, in any case, I'm told that after this point, my internet connection is unstable. Great.
yeah.
But once you select this data here. You create your custom program. You can put new data into each of those instances, and eventually we'll have historic data available from these stages as well. Next slide, please.
I think we missed out on one of the slides where for this GIF to make sense.
Well, actually, at this point in the presentation, I've been advised that things get a little bit more technical than they need to be. So a bunch of magic happens. We're not done yet. And now it's on to the really interesting stuff of finances. I don't want you guys to get too bored before that. Okay. The primary operations of UBHub are financed by in-kind donations from our volunteers. That's their time and their expense coverages. Really the most valuable thing we do have is our volunteers' time. We also have some actual financial expenses, like about $50 a month in web hosting fees, database hosting, and the server costs themselves. And we've had some financial contributions, again, from donors direct to publishers for studies. So most of that stuff just doesn't get reflected in the finances of the organization because it never hits any of our actual records keeping systems, and nor our bank accounts or anything like that. So this is there's not a lot to report here. Next slide, please. Here we have our basic financial statements. Our balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement. The $6,684 that you see there is from is the combined amount that we have in assets. Part of that is from the UBHub program from 2019, and the remainder is from the IUCN Uni consultancy, which happened in 2021. The Uni consultancy was for about 3,500 Canadian dollars, leaving us with almost $6,700 in total funds available in Canadian dollars again, for essentially plan on using that for reimbursement for travel expenses if anybody's allowed to travel again. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Glenn. I think you got a little bit choppy at the very last bit, but I believe you were talking about what the cash balance could be used for.
Yeah, the plan has generally been something like reimbursing or publications or something like that. We don't have any specific things for it yet, essentially.
Great. Thanks for the update, Glenn. And I do recognize that a lot of magic happens in the back end of our web services. And I'm very glad that you've spared us too much technicality. So moving on, we have very exciting plans for 2022 and beyond. And I will first have Pablo cover parts of that.
Thank you again, Mika. So yeah, for 2022, we have 2 virtual conferences taking place already. We have the Eco City World Summit, which is happening fully online from the 22nd to the 24th of February. And we have already recorded our presentation for this event. We also have the TNOC Festival 2022, which is going to be also virtual, and it's happening from the 29th to the 31st of March. And we're going to be presenting the Urban Nature Index. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. So for other work, we're also planning on producing a policy brief for practitioners. This is a theme for highlighting the best practices and support international city-to-city learning of urban nature-based solutions and biodiversity strategies. And we have submitted to Natura some applications to fund a fellow and an in-person workshop happening in 2022. Can you go to the next one? Yes, thank you. So we're also collaborating with the International Association of Horticultural Producers for the World Green City Awards, which is the first global awards where plants and nature are the core focus. So if you know about anyone who would like to participate, the deadline is on 14th of March of 2022, and we're going to be, well, all the information is in our website as well. Thank you. So also with the Mexican government reached out to the Urban Biodiversity Hub to express interest in possibly applying the Urban Nature Index at state and municipal levels of government throughout the country. So the Urban Biodiversity Hub is in early discussions with Mexico's National Ministry for Biodiversity, as well as with Mexico City, who also happens to be one of the pilot cities for testing the Urban Nature Index. And I think that's my part. Mika, thank you.
Thanks very much, Pablo. And this leads me very well to talking about our next point, which is our contributions to the larger global discussions about urban biodiversity and indicators and what current practice says that can help inform these global plans. The uni is a very good platform for which we can understand also how cities can measure their urban biodiversity efforts, but how does that all link up to the global discussions, particularly on the post-2020 global biodiversity framework that is currently being negotiated by the parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity. And this post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework is set to be adopted at COP15 in Kunming at the in April or May 2022. The dates are not yet set due to a lot of uncertainties that we are currently experiencing. But the opportunity therefore lies in being able to then take what we have now and try and continue to influence the process, not just by having governments recognize that cities and local governments are important, and that vertical integration of policy action is very important, but exactly how can that look like in the post-2020 framework, as well as whether there's any opportunities for indicators, for example, that would make sense across these different scales. So as part of all these discussions, often the global outlooks would help with providing some of the guidance to policymakers. And in the realm of urban biodiversity, there is the Cities and Biodiversity Outlook, the first one having been published in 2012, while the second one was not called the CBO, but it essentially serves as that. It's a publication led by the Nature Conservancy called the Nature and the Urban Century Report. And there are initial discussions about potentially working on a Cities and Biodiversity Outlook 3. And we are very excited to be speaking together with ICLEI as well on this. We've been speaking with Ernita. So Stefania, if our ICLEI representative here, you may have also heard about the work that's going on in here.
Yes,
so
yes.
Yeah. We're excited to be in touch and in conversation, and we're really looking forward to see where our research can help influence and also provide guidance for the policy processes. And with all of these exciting things coming up, we are actually looking for UBHubbers, as we call it, basically committed individuals who are willing to step up and also take on the challenge of ensuring and enabling local governments to plan with nature. Now, especially more than ever, is the time. We can see that there are lots and lots of things happening coming up in 2022 and beyond. And we're particularly looking for UBHubbers to join us, taking the lead in the steering committee or working with us on major projects. As we've explained, we've concluded some major projects, but some are also still continuing on for the next year. So we're particularly looking out, and if there's anybody who would like to take part, we can have more discussion here today in the Q&A section, or maybe after the official conclusion of this annual general meeting. And otherwise, we would be opening the floor to questions. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun there. I do want to give a quick recap of what we've covered today so that it can refresh everybody's memories and open the floor for questions afterwards. Although questions can also come at any time if it's relevant. So first we covered really working towards our mission goals on providing resources on urban biodiversity, producing knowledge on current practice, and contributing to global discussions and networks. And particularly through our major projects for this year, 2021, via the Natura Thematic Working Group on Global Goals and Local Actions, as well as the IUCN Urban Nature Index Consultancy. We shared some updates on our communications, such as outreach that we've done doing in-person as well as online conferences, communications via social media and their reach, as well as our newsletter. Updates on, I apologize, I think we were not able to, there's a typo here under the website updates, but we saw that due to our major projects, we have updates for our database, but they're just not yet live publicly on our website, and as well as work being done all the way in the back end to allow our index builder to be functional. Then we also heard updates on our finances and future plans, participating in conferences for the year 2022, the policy brief that we're hoping to come out from the research that we've done with the Natura Working Group, collaborations with the AIPH, supporting the uni, which includes, for example, working with the Mexican government, and opportunities that would come by via the CBD COP15 or through the CB03, our participation in drafting some of that text. Then definitely seeking committed folks to join UBHub leadership to help make all of this happen in 2022. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions at this time or to entertain just comments and have a chat. I see, Stefania, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thanks. Can I chip in? No, thanks so much for the comprehensive explanation and presentation. I can see that there is so much in common, and in fact, I was already, aware about what you're doing and somehow the way that we can just look for synergic opportunities to be combining efforts, and also the partners that you're just bringing in, like the Urban Index, and I think you're talking to Russell Galt, and also the World Green Award with Tim. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's great. I understand that the uni is connected to the award. Is that correct?
Sorry, the uni is connected to what?
Is it connected to the world, to the green award?
Oh, the green awards, the AIPH awards?
Yeah, I mean, the uni itself is connected, is just a separate initiative, or it's connected to the award?
Ah, I see. It's a separate initiative. Okay. We are collaborating with AIPH to promote the Green Awards.
Okay, and the uni?
The uni is a separate project or consultancy that we have with the IUCN Urban Alliance to develop. Yeah, to develop the uni. And Jennifer can...
IUCN is the primary promoter of the Urban Nature Index, I guess I would say. I mean, they're the ones that...
Got frozen.
Considered an IUCN product. And because it's...
Sorry, Jennifer, I'll have to cut you in there. You were choppy for a little bit, so I think you were saying that the uni is considered an IUCN product.
And that's a platform, correct?
I think Jennifer's typing her answers in the chat box instead, but I can also, yes, I can read that out. IUCN is, sorry, the uni is an IUCN product, and we are playing a supporting role for that. Yes, right. The uni is an index.
Yes, yeah. Because we already had. I'm asking to understand better, because we are also having discussions with the urban index to connect it to cities with nature. So we're very happy to be, just combining efforts. Maybe also think about having collaboration agreement between cities with nature and the urban hub. That could be one of the, things to be exploring together.
Definitely, for sure. We've known Cities with Nature for a while, since its inception, actually, and we've also been in talks with Tim and others about how to collaborate and how to spend. Sorry, did I say spend? And how to sort of make the connection stronger. Sorry, it's pretty late here.
I know.
Where I am.
Thanks for your patience. Thanks. Yes.
But yeah, just to clarify, Jennifer also said that the AIPH awards have not yet indicated whether they will adopt the uni as part of the award structure. But we're happy to support them however they would like, because in terms of technicality, UBHub has the technical expertise on the uni. I see, Pablo, you raised your hand.
Thank you, Mika. And just wanted to comment on this answer. And Stefania, you were asking about if this was a platform. So I didn't mention this, or we didn't mention this in this presentation. It is in the link. We can send you the link to the video. But the next steps for the Urban Nature Index are on IUCN's site. So it still needs to go through all the process with the experts. And the IUCN is developing a platform, the online platform, as part of the contributions for nature platform. So it will be available pretty soon, or we hope. But so far, you can find out more about the Urban Nature Index on the YouTube video that we have, and I think we also sent it on the newsletter. So if you're interested, we can send you the link. I can send it to you soon, and like here in the chat. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
That's great. Thanks, Pablo. Do you have follow-up questions or comments, Stefania?
No, I think everything is clear from my side, and great that you already have, kind of entry points in ICLEI with Ernita and the others, and really looking forward for collaborating together and just strengthening it.
Thanks so much, Stefania. And okay, so now I don't see any more questions. So I guess we can move ahead with the agenda. So our next agenda item is on the AGM legal matters. And at this point, we will want to end the recording because the legal matters are just procedural. And we will... Welcome to this session. Oh, sorry, I think I heard something in the back. I think that was the...
I think I just
that was the video.
Yes, I clicked.
Yeah.
On the YouTube. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the video introducing soft launching the uni.
I will look at it later.
Yeah. And before we move on to the legal matters, since Stefania may want to step off before we move to that, we are definitely wanting to collaborate further with ICLEI on Cities with Nature. We've been talking with ICLEI about this platform and opportunities there over the years.
Oh no!
A knowledge partner, how that structure has changed. So we should definitely do a follow-up call that's just dedicated to exploring those opportunities to connect the
Oh,
work that
let's
we've been
do
doing
it.
with.
Happily so. Maybe in January. Now I don't know whether we have time to do it in December, but happy to. We really look forward. We just that's one of the partnership that we really would like to be bringing forward together with and along with Cities with Nature. Happily.
Great, we're really happy to hear that.
That's awesome.
Nice to meet you. Are you in Cape Town?
Unfortunately, I can't. I couldn't travel. I'm supposedly I should be principal. I should be there, but I couldn't travel because of COVID. So I'm in Rome.
Good deal.
Yes.
Rome's
Yeah.
amazing.
The eternal city.
I was actually in Rome for the post 2020 open-ended working group. I think back in February 2020, before
COVID,
or just at the cusp of COVID becoming a pandemic.
Exactly when the whole world was just hit by COVID. I remember that. I wasn't at ICLE yet, but I knew about the conference, the meeting, and it's been, you know, the just the crossroad for the watershed of what has followed. Not necessarily positively after that, but that's been a milestone for sure.
Definitely. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us up to this point, because beyond this point, we get into very procedural matters to maintain our status as a society with under Canadian law. So I recognize that we're also at the hour. So if you need to jump off, please feel free. Otherwise, you may also stay on for the procedural matters as we have to work on for the annual general meeting. And Jennifer will take that.
Are you able to screen share the agenda documents that we have to go over, just because my internet is so poor?
Sure, I can do that, but I'll have to pull it up.
And can I clarify that the recording is finished?
Pablo, would you be able to?
Yeah, I'll finish it.
End the
Thank you very much.
recording